It is quite lovely this evening, every year, isn't it? This candlelit evening, magical, mystical. A moment in the Christmas season which tends, I find, to the poetic, to those grand truths of eternity which go beyond simple fact, those facets of our faith shaped by majestic, poetic language, such as we have heard read this evening. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore. But you, O Bethlehem, you who are one of the little clans, you shall come forth from me, one who is to rule in Israel, whose origin is from of old, from ancient of days. Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you great news of great joy for all the people. Those words, those ancient words, are poetic. I've been thinking this week about my word of the year. It was on the radio. I caught Collins Dictionary. The good people there have picked a word from the year, something which they have discerned epitomizes the zeitgeist. 2 previous entries, I think. In 2023, it was almost Nepo baby, one whose success is down to an influential parent. Perhaps Jesus was a Nepo baby. It was nearly de-influencing, persuading people not to do things, generally on social media, but perhaps Jesus was a de-influencer, persuading people to turn away from empty ritual and legalism, from selfishness, from the darkness. Handy sermon illustrations they would have been, had only they been the word of the year. The winning word of the year was AI, which is either not enough words or too many, but artificial intelligence, there we have it. An intriguing concept, an unproven technology, bad news or good news, harbinger of the digital end times or saviour of the working world, we have yet to see. Jesus is not AI, of course, and although I would say that God is certainly, among other things, intelligence beyond our understanding, what is clear is that Jesus is good news. My word of 2023, I haven't persuaded anyone else to accept this as fact anywhere else, but my personal favourite is something I came across and I heard it and I thought, I didn't know that's a thing that needed a word until I heard it. It is transrational. Transrational, a thing which goes beyond or surpasses human reason or the rational. See if you can slip it in to Christmas lunchtime conversation. I will give you 5 bonus points if you can. See me for a prize. Transrational. Poetry is transrational. Good songs are transrational. Poetry is, you can think about it, you can study it, you can parse it, you can master the rhythms and meters, the rhyme schemes and stanza layouts. You can master the forms of sonnet, haiku, or perhaps the greatest of all, the most majestic form of poem, the limerick. I am open to submission starting There Was a Nice Vicar in Leeds. More bonus points. Poetry can be studied. It is rational, but it is more than rational. It moves us in expert hands, and it shows us worlds beyond prose. Likewise, I would say Christianity is transrational. It isn't irrational, this stuff. Wherever you're coming from on matters of faith this evening, you must know that perfectly rational people believe this stuff. I would like to think I was one of them. Faith can be explored, thought about, spoken about, written about. We can and do seek to understand God and God's ways, and have filled libraries and podcast feeds with our works. Our faith, though, and of course the God in whom we have faith, is always bigger and deeper and wider than our efforts to explain and explore. This is transrational. So this evening, this Christmas Eve, I would like to encourage you, poetically, to remind you that though there is much of all of this that we will never fully grasp, that much of the light shining in the darkness before which we can only stare in awesome wonder, much of the Christmas story we can simply inhabit the rhythms of, at its heart there lies a reality, as we gather in this half-lit, lambent space to remind ourselves of the audacious action of our transcendent God, the scandalous, unfathomable immanence of Emmanuel, God with us, God made flesh, allow me to read to you a cheeky 10th lesson, the first part of the poem Skin by Godfrey Rust. That Christmas, God treated himself to a new coat. Till then, he'd not been dressed for visiting, he'd nothing dull enough to wear. Early on, he'd come to recognize his appearance didn't put people at ease. Even the very first ones were nervous when he took an afternoon stroll around the garden. They'd run and hide. And when he showed someone around, he found their reactions hardly reassuring. He understood it must be difficult to be wholly relaxed in the presence of a host with dazzling white hair, emerald eyes, and a tongue like a sword sat on a blazing throne guarded by 4 six-winged living creatures and 24 elders chanting constantly. Polite, yes, but probably not relaxed, likely to slop tea on the custard creams. So he took to meeting, just a few, trusted few, in places carefully arranged, a mountain or a desert far from crowds. He made them build a tent for conferences with heavily restricted access. When he spoke, he found the quiet voices worked out best. Eventually, it was easier just to send a messenger. Of course, people were still startled when a shining creature several meters high materialized in their living rooms like something from the Starship Enterprise. But they did their job, and angels don't have feelings you can hurt. But he learned that people were more comfortable with their own kind. Pleased when you showed an interest, of course, but when the boss drops by, the conversation's always stilted, and both sides are relieved after he's gone. So when the time came for the business that had to be done, he travelled incognito, dressing down for the occasion. He chose skin. Not suede or leather, only skin. Close-fitting, durable, anonymous, adaptable, no special style or colour. Skin was his lifetime companion. He nursed the scabs of childhood games on knees and elbows, felt the ligaments grow taut, the muscles stretch when he extended himself. He fingered calluses made by a workman's tools upon his palms. He came to know skin from the inside. He knew the pleasant shock of cold water splashed across his face in the midday heat. He knew the touch of cool parchment unrolling underneath his fingertips, the dryness in his mouth as he prepared to read what was written there about him. He felt skin harden under feet that walk long distances, and after sleepless nights felt it hang in folds beneath his eyes. At his most tired, it felt almost detached, a loose sack just to keep him warm. It doesn't end there, nor does our story. I promise to read the rest of it at Easter. This Christmas story is of God choosing to step into a life like ours, out of eternity and into time, into skin. For God so loved the world, we are told. For God so loves the world, loves each and every one of us. Beloved, please carry that light and love with you this Christmas. God so loved the world, he put on skin for each of us.